The moment his mother put the pieces together about you, she listened closely, because something shifted the very moment she saw the truth. Not a rumor. Not a guess. Not an assumption. A realization. The moment his mother put the pieces together about you, she froze. Her breath caught. Her thoughts stopped racing. Her spirit went silent. Because suddenly, everything made sense. What she once dismissed. What she once misunderstood. What she once questioned. Aligned into a picture she could no longer deny. And in that moment, a holy fear touched her heart. I speak to you now because this was not coincidence. It was revelation. God allowed her eyes to open at the exact moment they needed to. Not earlier. Not later. Precisely now, because timing matters when destinies are involved. You must understand this. There are people who have watched you for a long time without truly seeing you. They observed your actions but never understood your assignment. They judged your silence. They misread your restraint. They questioned your strength because it didn't look like theirs. But revelation changes everything. She began to notice patterns. How you endured what would have broken others. How you remained calm when chaos surrounded you. How doors opened for you without explanation. How protection followed you even in storms. And suddenly, she realized. This is not ordinary. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is not manipulation. This is divine covering. And when a person realizes they have misjudged someone under God's hand, the soul freezes, not in fear of you, but in fear of God. Because they recognize they were standing too close to something sacred without reverence. She began replaying moments in her mind. Conversations. Reactions. Decisions she once defended. Words she once spoke casually. And now, those memories carry weight. Because awareness brings accountability. Hear me clearly. This is not about embarrassment. This is about awakening. God allowed her to see because what comes next requires alignment. Silence was allowed before. Misunderstanding was permitted before. Distance was tolerated before. But now awareness has entered the room. And once awareness arrives, nothing stays the same. You may not have noticed it yet, but the atmosphere around her shifted. Her tone changed. Her energy adjusted. Her behavior paused. She is watching you differently now, not with suspicion, but with caution. Not caution of you. Caution of God. Because she realized you were never acting from ego. You were moving under instruction. You were not resisting out of rebellion. You were discerning. You were not quiet because you were weak. You were quiet because you were listening. And when a mother realizes she misread someone God is actively guiding, it humbles the soul. You did not defend yourself. You did not explain yourself. You did not demand understanding. And that restraint is what allowed truth to surface on its own. God does not rush revelation. He waits until hearts are ready to carry it. And here is what you must know. This realization did not come to her for her sake alone. It came because something involving you is about to shift. A conversation. A decision. A stance. A protection. A boundary. And heaven needed her eyes open before the next move unfolds. You are not entering the next season misunderstood. You are not stepping forward unseen. You are not moving without witnesses anymore. But awareness can feel unsettling before it becomes honoring. She froze because truth interrupts control. She froze because realization dismantles narratives. She froze because she felt the weight of divine involvement in your life. And now, she must decide how to respond. Will she align? Will she resist? Will she adjust? Will she retreat? That answer is still forming. What matters now is this. You are not to change your posture. You are not to explain yourself. You are not to seek validation. Remain steady. Remain anchored. Remain led. Because when God reveals someone's role to others, it is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of accountability. And there is something deeper she has not yet said out loud. A realization she is still processing. A conclusion forming beneath the surface that will alter the dynamic permanently. In the next revelation, I will show you what she realized about your future, not just your past, and why it startled her more than anything else. Stay with me. Do not look away. Say continue. Stay still, and listen with your spirit, because what she realized next went far beyond memory or regret. It reached forward, into what is coming. And that is why her heart froze even deeper. She did not only see who you were. She began to see who you are becoming. And that realization is far more unsettling than understanding the past. In a quiet moment, one she has not spoken about, she connected the final pieces. The delays that never destroyed you. The pressure that refined instead of crushed you. The protection that appeared at impossible moments. The way doors closed for you only to redirect you, never to end you. And suddenly, the pattern emerged. God has been positioning you. Not randomly. Not gradually. But deliberately. She saw it in how circumstances rearranged themselves around you. She saw it in how opposition never finished you. She saw it in how truth followed you, even when people tried to rewrite the story. And when a mother recognizes divine positioning, the soul responds with reverence, or resistance. Her freeze was the pause between those two options. Because she realized something else, something heavy. Your future will not be small. And people who once felt above you may soon feel behind you. This is where the discomfort entered her spirit. She understood that God was not merely protecting you, He was preparing you. Preparing your voice. Preparing your authority. Preparing your discernment. Preparing your role in ways she never anticipated. And when someone realizes they misjudged a person God is elevating, the ground beneath them feels unstable. She began to question her own assumptions. Her own judgments. Her own influence. Because now she sees that you are not meant to be controlled, redirected, or reshaped by human expectations. You are responding to a higher instruction. And here is the truth you must hear clearly. God allowed her to see because your next season requires fewer misunderstandings and stronger boundaries. What is coming will place you in a position where clarity matters. Where words carry weight. Where alignment is essential. Where interference cannot be tolerated the way it once was. She realized that if she missteps now, she risks standing against God's movement rather than beside it. That is why she froze. Not because of fear of you, but fear of misaligning with heaven. And this is where the shift begins to affect you, even if no words have been spoken yet. You may notice subtle changes. A softer tone. More observation than instruction. Less interference. More restraint. Or you may notice tension. Silence. Distance. Both are responses to revelation. Because revelation demands adjustment. But hear me. You are not responsible for how others process divine truth. You are responsible only for remaining aligned. You are not called to explain your calling. You are not assigned to convince anyone. You are not required to defend God's hand on your life. God reveals. God confirms. God defends. Your silence has already spoken louder than explanations ever could. And there is something else she realized, something that shook her deeply. She saw that your strength does not come from resistance, but from surrender. You are not fighting for position. You are yielding to process. You are not demanding recognition. You are allowing God to establish you. And that posture is rare. It unsettled her because it revealed that your authority will not be loud, but undeniable. Not forced, but respected. Not demanded, but recognized. This kind of authority cannot be manipulated. And those who once assumed they could shape your path now realize they cannot. Because God has already claimed it. You must understand this carefully. When God reveals someone's future to another person, it is often because a decision involving you is approaching. Something will soon require her response. A stance. A word. A silence. A boundary. Heaven opened her eyes before that moment arrives. And how she responds will determine her role moving forward. But you are already positioned. Your responsibility now is not to anticipate her reaction, but to protect your peace. Do not lean into curiosity. Do not seek confirmation. Do not attempt to read her thoughts. Remain still. Remain grounded. Remain obedient. Because what is unfolding does not require your interference. God is working behind the scenes, quietly, firmly, precisely. And there is one final piece she has not yet fully processed. A truth that is still forming in her spirit. When it settles, it will change how she interacts with you permanently. That truth involves what you carry, not just who you are. And when that realization becomes clear, there will be no going back. In the next revelation, I will show you what she saw about your spiritual assignment, and why it made her realize that crossing certain lines with you is no longer possible. Stay with me. Do not disengage. Say continue. Now listen, because what she began to see next was not emotional, not relational, not even personal. It was spiritual. And that is where the weight truly settled in her chest. She realized you carry something. Not confidence. Not ambition. Not intelligence alone. You carry authority. And authority is recognized long before it is announced. She noticed how conversations shifted when you entered a room. How tension softened or intensified depending on alignment. How people felt compelled to explain themselves around you, even when you said nothing. How truth surfaced unexpectedly in your presence. How lies could not stay comfortable near you. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual weight. She saw that when you withdraw, clarity follows. When you speak, things settle. When you remain silent, others reveal themselves. And when someone begins to recognize spiritual authority, they also realize something unsettling. Authority cannot be controlled. It answers to God alone. This is why she froze again, not outwardly, but inwardly. Because she understood that the dynamic she once assumed existed, no longer does. The influence she thought she had, is no longer effective. The leverage she believed was there, dissolved the moment truth clicked into place. She realized that your assignment does not bend to emotional pressure. It does not respond to guilt. It does not submit to fear. And that realization forces a reckoning. Because when someone carries authority from God, every interaction must change. Boundaries become sacred. Words must be weighed. Intentions are exposed. Motives are revealed. And here is the part you must understand clearly. This was not revealed to her so she could fear you. It was revealed so she would respect the order God established. She began to sense that crossing certain lines with you would come with consequences, not from you, but from heaven. That manipulating you would no longer work. That undermining you would not end well. That dismissing you would be dangerous. Not because you seek power, but because you are positioned under divine covering. And divine covering carries accountability for those who interact with it. You may wonder why she became quieter. Why her energy shifted. Why her questions stopped. Why her confidence softened. It is because she realized something crucial. You are not walking alone. Heaven moves with you. And those who move against what heaven protects often regret it. This awareness did not come with accusation. It came with realization. She recognized that many of the things she once criticized were actually signs of discipline. Many of the things she once questioned were acts of obedience. Many of the things she misunderstood were part of a process she was never meant to manage. She saw that your restraint was not weakness, it was wisdom. Your patience was not delay, it was timing. Your silence was not avoidance, it was discernment. And that truth rewrote the narrative she once held. But here is what made her truly still. She realized your authority is still growing. What she sees now is not the fullness. What she senses is only the beginning. What she understands is partial. And when someone realizes they are standing near a future version of someone God is elevating, humility is the only safe response. Because elevation always changes dynamics. God is not only preparing you for expansion. He is preparing others to interact with you differently. This is why clarity came now. Your next season will require you to speak when you once stayed quiet. To stand firm where you once compromised. To lead where you once followed. To choose alignment over approval. And heaven needed her eyes open before that transition. But hear me carefully. This does not mean she will immediately understand everything. Revelation often arrives before transformation. Awareness comes before adjustment. There may still be moments of silence. Moments of hesitation. Moments of internal struggle. That is not your burden to carry. Your role is to remain steady. Do not shrink yourself to maintain comfort. Do not dim your clarity to preserve peace. Do not explain what God has not asked you to explain. Authority grows when honored quietly. And something else is unfolding that you may not yet see. Others are noticing the shift too. They may not know what changed. They may not understand why the atmosphere feels different. They may not recognize the cause. But they feel it. Your presence is beginning to carry finality. Decisions feel heavier around you. Words feel more permanent. Moments feel more intentional. That is the sign of emerging authority. And here is the truth the enemy does not want you to realize. When authority rises, resistance follows. Not always loudly. Sometimes subtly. Sometimes through distance. Sometimes through misunderstanding. But do not mistake resistance for failure. Resistance is often confirmation. Because what God is establishing in you cannot be ignored much longer. And there is still one final realization forming in her spirit. The most significant one yet. A realization about timing. About how close you are. About how little room there is now for misalignment. About how certain things must change immediately. When that understanding fully settles, a line will be crossed. Or respected. In the next revelation, I will show you what that timing means for you, and why the next interaction will determine everything. Stay with me. Now hear this carefully, because timing is the final key she began to sense, and timing is what caused her spirit to grow still in a way she had never felt before. She realized you are not on your way anymore. You are near. Near to a turning point. Near to a decision that will not be reversible. Near to a moment that will define the next chapter of your life. And when timing becomes narrow, awareness becomes urgent. She felt it, not in her mind, but in her spirit. A pressure. A knowing. A quiet understanding that something involving you is about to shift quickly, and that hesitation now could place her on the wrong side of God's movement. Because timing in the spiritual realm is not measured in days or months. It is measured in alignment. And alignment is fragile in transition seasons. She saw that God has been patient, allowing growth, allowing learning, allowing misunderstanding, but that patience is now giving way to precision. The season of grace-filled tolerance is closing, and the season of clarity is opening. This is not punishment. This is maturity. God does not treat emerging authority the same way He treats developing potential. And she realized, you are no longer in development. You are stepping into deployment. This is why things around you feel faster. This is why conversations feel weightier. This is why delays are no longer tolerated. This is why indecision feels uncomfortable. Your spirit knows it. Her spirit sensed it. There is a narrowing of paths. And when paths narrow, neutrality disappears. She understood that continuing as before is no longer an option. That the old ways of interacting with you, questioning, directing, interfering, testing, no longer fit the moment. Something in her recognized that this is a threshold season for you, and thresholds demand reverence. This realization forced her inward. Because when timing tightens, every word matters. Every tone matters. Every intention matters. And suddenly, she became aware of the weight her influence carries. Not just over you, but over herself. She recognized that how she treats you now will echo forward. This is the moment many miss. When God elevates someone, He also evaluates the hearts of those around them. Not to shame, but to clarify roles. Some are meant to support. Some are meant to release. Some are meant to step back. Some are meant to realign. But no one is meant to remain careless. And this is why she froze. Because carelessness is no longer safe. She saw that the next interaction would not be ordinary. That the next conversation would reveal alignment or resistance. That the next response would either honor God's timing or push against it. And here is what you must understand. This timing is not meant to pressure you. It is meant to protect you. God is narrowing your focus so you do not carry unnecessary weight into the next season. He is refining your circle so you are not pulled in conflicting directions. He is sharpening your discernment so you recognize when something is out of season, even if it feels familiar. This is why certain things no longer feel tolerable. Why certain conversations feel draining. Why certain behaviors feel heavier than before. You are not becoming sensitive. You are becoming precise. And precision is required where you are going. But timing also brings exposure. Those who cannot adjust will feel uncomfortable. Those who cannot release control will feel threatened. Those who cannot respect boundaries will feel distance. That is not cruelty. That is consequence. You are not being asked to confront. You are being asked to remain aligned. Let timing do the work. Because God is positioning you in a way that will make explanations unnecessary. Your consistency will speak. Your peace will speak. Your clarity will speak. And those who are meant to walk with you will adjust naturally. Those who are not will slowly remove themselves. This is how God protects destiny, quietly. She sensed this. She felt the narrowing. She recognized the urgency. And deep down, she knows that the way she responds now will define her place in what comes next. But this is not about her. This is about you remaining steady as the shift completes. Do not rush. Do not retreat. Do not over-explain. Do not overthink. Walk forward with the same obedience that brought you here. Because the timing you are in now will reward alignment swiftly. And there is one final realization still unfolding. The one that will either bring peace or create distance. The one that will settle everything. In the next revelation, I will show you what decision is approaching, and how heaven will protect you regardless of how others choose. Stay with me. Now listen, because the final realization she is coming to involves a decision that cannot be delayed much longer. A decision that does not require an announcement, but will be revealed through action or restraint. She understands now that she stands at a crossroads. Not you. Her. Because once God reveals someone's role, there is no returning to ignorance. Awareness removes neutrality. And neutrality is no longer permitted where you are going. She has realized that the season of observation has ended. What comes next will require her to either honor what God is doing in you or quietly step out of the way of it. There is no middle ground anymore. And this is what caused the deepest stillness in her spirit. She saw that trying to influence you now would cost her peace. That interfering would bring resistance she does not want to face. That continuing old patterns would create distance she cannot control. She realized that the safest posture now is humility. Not submission to you, but submission to God's order. Because God is not asking her to understand everything. He is asking her to respect the boundary He has drawn. And here is what you must hear clearly, because this is where many become anxious, but you must not. This decision approaching is not your burden. You are not responsible for managing her response. You are not assigned to ease her discomfort. You are not meant to soften your clarity to make others comfortable. Your only responsibility is to remain aligned. Heaven is handling the rest. You may notice that the next interaction feels different. Shorter. Quieter. More careful. Or more distant. Do not interpret that as loss. Sometimes distance is protection. Sometimes silence is respect forming. Sometimes restraint is alignment settling in. What matters is this: God has already positioned you beyond the reach of misunderstanding. What was once questioned will now be observed. What was once doubted will now be watched carefully. What was once dismissed will now be treated with caution. That is not rejection. That is recognition. And recognition changes dynamics permanently. There is something else unfolding that you must know. Once authority is recognized, even quietly, it cannot be unseen. This means the way people speak to you will change. The way they approach you will change. The way they involve you will change. Not immediately, but inevitably. Because spiritual truth has momentum. And this is where your discipline matters. Do not use this moment to prove anything. Do not posture. Do not shift your character. Do not harden your heart. Authority that is rushed becomes fragile. Authority that is quiet becomes unshakable. Stay as you are. Calm. Grounded. Clear. Led. You are stepping into a season where fewer words are required because your presence will speak for itself. And heaven is watching how you carry this shift. You are being trusted with more, not because you demanded it, but because you proved you could be entrusted with it. And now, protection is tightening around you. Conversations you were never meant to have will dissolve. Influence that once pressed on you will fade. Expectations that never fit you will release. God is clearing space. This is not separation out of conflict. This is alignment through clarity. And if you feel a strange mixture of peace and gravity right now, that is confirmation. You are crossing a line you cannot uncross. But it is a good line. A holy line. A necessary one. And here is the final truth I leave you with. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be protected by God. Understanding comes when hearts are ready. Protection comes because destiny demands it. She froze because she realized something irreversible had already happened. God has marked you. And once God marks someone, others must adjust or step aside. You do not need to announce your next move. You do not need to explain your position. You do not need to justify your boundaries. Heaven is already speaking for you. Walk forward with confidence. Hold your peace without apology. Honor God's timing without fear. Because the moment she put the pieces together was not the climax. It was the confirmation. And what unfolds next will speak louder than words ever could. Stay alert. Stay aligned. Stay grounded. I remain with you. You are covered. You are guided. You are protected. And what God is doing in you cannot be undone. Not now. Not ever.